And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
All right, starting this segment off with the temporary change notice, the aviation, weather, and marine weather YouTube recordings will be unavailable on the following weekend dates: Saturday, June 8th, and Sunday, June 9th, as well as Saturday, June 15th, and Sunday, June 16th. Some or all aviation and marine graphics will also be unavailable on the web during this time. Surface maps and the general weather segments will remain available. And moving on to tomorrow morning's, Saturday morning's flying weather, VFR in the interior, some IFR on the Arctic coast, and IFR shifting northward here. Of course, Kodiak Island pushing up toward the southern Kenai Peninsula, but more likely staying south of Cook Inlet here, and then IFR here over the northern and western Bering Sea down to the Aleutians. VFR for the southeast coast. In the afternoon, good VFR, southeast coast, and all the way into the interior, up into the North Slope area with some possible IFR there along the Arctic coast. Out over the Bering Sea, a bigger area of IFR here, south of St. Lawrence Island, but down across the Pribilofs, then extending down there toward Amchitka Island westward. IFR for Kodiak Island about sums up this weekend, and that holds pretty much into Sunday morning there. Shifting northward may become marginal. Look for some improvement over southern Kodiak Island. Big area IFR continues to increase out there over the Bering Sea, now extending up into the Strait, down to the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians. North Slope out to the Arctic coast, IFR, marginal VFR here, pushing northward into Prince William Sound and the Kenai Peninsula area, all along the coastal areas here down to the southeast. And then for the afternoon, that retreats back, kind of burns off in the afternoon here, but still along the south coast of the Kenai Peninsula. And IFR east of Kodiak Island now, so better flying conditions for the afternoon Sunday than what you'll see tomorrow, with the main IFR over the Gulf, marginal VFR along the southeast coast. Now over the Bering Sea, marginal VFR St. Lawrence Island, and much of the area is still covered with IFR there into the western Alaska Peninsula. And moving on to passes. There we go, for Anatuvik and Adigan. VFR flying conditions, both passes, probably through the weekend. Anatuvik as well, and Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR, rainy VFR, windy VFR, and Isabel, VFR as well. A lot of VFR flying through the mountain passes for the day Saturday. Tanita as well, and Portage, VFR, and Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels here about 8,000 feet over the central and eastern interior, 10,000 feet over the southeast coast there, and cooler air out over the Bering Sea at about 2,000 feet there for the, especially the southern areas into the Aleutians. And from there, looking at icing, considerable moderate rime icing here with moisture pushing into the southwest interior areas there from the Alaska Peninsula right on up towards St. Lawrence Island areas, and then also some icing threats increasing here and lifting northward through the day across the Kenai Peninsula and the North Gulf Coast, spreading in across the Panhandle. And then for the jet stream, upper level high pressure here up over the northeast interior there, and easterly flow up to 90 knots right across the Barren Islands there, and then 75 to 85 knot winds there for the southwest coast, lighter under this trough, and then northerlies up to 100 knots over the western Aleutians. And for 9,000 feet, strong winds at this elevation as well, 65 knots here, Prince William Sound, right into the Kenai Peninsula and Cook Inlet area, 50 knots there crossing the Alaska Range into the Kuskokwim Valley. Lighter to the north under high pressure, strongest winds staying off the southeast coast, and 35 to 40 knot winds here over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And at 3,000 feet, strong winds even at this elevation here, 65 knots there blowing right in across northern Kodiak Island, the Barrens, Kamishak Bay area, northeast Bristol Bay, falling back to 35 knots there near Cape Neuenam. 35 knot winds also around the Seward Peninsula, northeasterlies, a band there coming down to the central Aleutians. 40 knot southeast winds right off the north coast of the Panhandle. And turbulence-wise, with the stronger winds, looking for considerable moderate turbulence here through the Barren Islands into northern Kodiak Island, Fognak Island, into the Aleutian Range and northeast Bristol Bay, and some light to isolated moderate turbulence up over the Seward Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island area, possibly into the Kobuk Valley, western Brooks Range, and from Point Lay down to Point Hope on the Arctic coast, and a little bumpy also for Adak and Atka.